Clostridium botulinum. It is the organism that is responsible for the causation of the disease botulism or paralytic disease as a form of food poisoning. The name botulism comes from the sausage shape, that is a botulus, which in the Latin is called as botulus, and hence it is called as botulism. The emergence of this disease was by an outbreak that was caused due to the infection caused by the ham, which was contaminated with the toxin of this particular bacteria. It was first detected by one emergent who was able to identify this organism involved in the causation of the disease. This organism is mostly a saprophyte, can be seen in different sources such as vegetables, hay, silage, sea mud, or animal manures. Coming to the morphology of this organism is gram-positive bacillus and measuring about 5 micrometer long to 1 micrometer in diameter. It is non-capsulated. It is motile biflagellate peritricate flagella, and it has the characteristic spores which are present, which are usually subterminal, oval, and bulging spores. In other Clostridium species, you can see the spores either present at the terminal or at the subterminal, and the absence of spores in artificial media indicates the presence of Clostridium perfringens. But this organism can be identified with the spores which are usually placed subterminal, oval, and they are bulging in nature. Coming to the cultural characteristic, this organism can be identified in the artificial media. It is a strict anaerobe. Even a minute amount of oxygen can inhibit the growth of this organism. The optimum temperature for the growth of the organism is 35 degrees centigrade, and it can be grown in a ordinary media. Like other organism which requires special ingredients for their isolation, this organism can easily be grown on the ordinary media. Now coming to the colonies that can be identified on ordinary media, this produces smooth irregular colonies which are semi-transparent and have a fibrillate border. Coming to the biochemical reactions, these biochemical reactions can be used to identify different types of species. The sporulating organisms or the spores can be grown in a media which contains alkaline glucose gelatin media, and a high temperature inhibit the growth of this organism which is sporulating in nature. Coming to the resistance, the spores are highly resistant in nature, and they cannot be eliminated when boiled at 100 degrees centigrade. They have to be exposed to several hours at 100 degrees centigrade to be eliminated, and they can be killed at 120 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes. And spores of mostly the non-proteolytic type BE and F are less resistant when compared to the other types of the Clostridium botulinum. Coming to the classification, the organism can be classified into 8 types such as A, B, C1, C2, D, E, F, and G. And these types of the organism has been mostly type based upon the immunological difference of the toxins that are produced, because these toxins can be neutralized only by the homologous anti-serum. Except C2, all other toxins are usually neurotoxins that affects the neuromuscular junctions, whereas C2 is enterotoxin. Coming to the toxin, which is a very lethal toxin, it is a type of exotoxin that is produced by the organism. But as in the case of other organism which actively multiplies and releases the toxin into the medium, this organism produces the toxin intracellularly, and it is only after the death of the organism that this toxin can be released into the surrounding media. The death can be either due to the exogenous factors or due to the autolysis of the cell. And this toxin is usually that is produced is a non-toxic protein, or it is a progenitor protein. It is not an active one. It gets activated only upon the action of the trypsin or the other proteolytic enzyme. This toxin has been crystallized, and the protein structure has been given to us, and the molecular weight of this toxin is 70,000 daltons. The lethal dose of this toxin is 1 to 2 micrograms in the human. It is a neurotoxin which acts slowly and ultimately kills the person. It is highly stable in nature, which has to be heated up to 80 degrees centigrade for 30 to 40 minutes to get inactivated, or you can go for 10 minutes exposure to 100 degrees centigrade to inactivate the toxin. The food that is contaminated with the toxin can be made safe by pressure cooking the food for about 10 to 20 minutes. This toxin has the ability to resist digestion, and they are absorbed by the small intestine in the active form. Now the effect of this toxin is that it blocks or like it inhibits the production or the release of acetylcholine at the synapses of the neuromuscular junction. The symptoms of this infection is the onset of diplopia, that is, there is no alignment of the eye, the person sees two images at the same time. Dysphagia, difficulty in swallowing. Dysarthria, that is the motor speech disorder involving the crane, because it involves the cranial nerves. And there is a symmetric descending paralysis which leads to the death of the person due to the respiratory paralysis. Now when this toxin is injected intramuscularly or into the muscle, it weakens the muscle and blocks the release of the acetylcholine, as a result of which the muscle completely gets weakens and becomes atrophies. But after 2 to 4 months, you can see the regeneration of the terminal sprouts of the axon, recovering the functions to the normal form. And because of its property, the toxin can be used to treat strabismus, which where a person's eyes do not align with each other, and along with it, you can also use this toxin to treat various neuromuscular diseases. The toxin can be toxided with the help of antitoxin. It is a good antigen that induces the production of antibodies, and the toxin produced by C and D are usually encoded by the bacteriophages. That is, the organism itself does not produce the toxin, but when it is lysogenized with the bacteriophage, it will have the ability to produce the toxin. Coming to the pathogenicity, as already discussed, the organism itself does not cause the infection. That is, it is non-invasive and non-infectious. It is only after the organism dies and releases the intracellular toxin, it is able to cause the infection. So all the manifestations that are caused by this organism together are compiled as botulism. And 3 types of botulism are known. One is a foodborne botulism, wound botulism, and infant botulism. Coming to the foodborne botulism, the name itself indicates if the toxin has contaminated the food, if the food is consumed, then it can lead to foodborne botulism. So ingestion of the preformed toxin that is already present in the food by the organism can contaminate the food, and when consumed can lead to the foodborne botulism. So the type of bacillus and the type of food in different region varies from to the causation of the diseases. Mostly the human diseases are caused by 4 types of organism, that is type A, type B, type E, and rarely by type F. C and D usually causes an outbreak of these diseases in the cattle and the wildfowl, and the type G, when causes the infection, can ultimately lead to sudden death of the person. Now, source of the different sources of the food that usually causes the infection, as already discussed, varies with the different location or the different region. So in the case of food preserved in food that is preserved food in the Europe, when contaminated, can cause the infection. And canned vegetables in America, and fish which is contaminated, can cause the diseases in the Japan. Type E is the one that causes infection when it is contaminating the fish and the other seafoods. And mostly the Clostridium botulism are proteolytic in nature, and when they grow in the food, they usually causes the spoilage of the food, and this can be distinguished with the non-proteolytic, which does not alter the food. Here, when the proteolytic organisms are growing, they alter the food by spoiling the food, and this can be very well seen in the cans. When they are open, they are usually inflated and having bubbles when on opening, or they can the bubbles are so hard that they can even rupture the cans. So the food which is a canned or preserved food, when contaminated with the toxin, can cause the spoilage of the food, and it is mostly by the proteolytic group of organism. The symptoms of these diseases is usually appears only after 12 to 36 hours, and it initiates with the vomiting. We have thirst, constipation, ocular paresis, and difficulty in swallowing, speaking, and breathing. and coma or delirium can intervene or supervene in this particular infection, and the death occurs within 2 to 7 days after the exposure to the disease and or the organism, and the case fatality is up to 25 to 70% if not treated immediately. Coming to the wound botulism, it is different from the food where the already preformed toxin is present to cause the infection. But in the wound infection, the organism multiplies in a particular wound and releases the toxin after its death and causes the infection. So this is called as a wound botulism. So, and this is the toxin is produced at the site of infection, and the symptoms are similar to that of the food-borne botulism, except the gastrointestinal components are absent in wound botulism, and it's specifically caused by type A strains. Now coming to the infant botulism, which usually causes the diseases in the infants, and it is a clinical entity that has been discovered in 1976. It is a toxico-infection, that is, here the infection is both by the organism as well as the toxin that is produced by the organism. The spores usually present in the food when consumed by the baby or the infant get established in the gut, and in the gut they shows the clinical that is they develop the cause the pathogenesis and shows the clinical symptoms. Infants who are infected with this particular diseases is about 6 months old, and the manifestations of this disease in the infants is constipation, poor feeding, lethargy, weakness, and poor oral secretions, weak or altered cry. Because the child will not have much of the energy to cry, there is a weak or altered cry that can be seen as a characteristic feature of this infection. There is a floppiness and loss of head control due to the release of the toxin and the growth of the organism, and the patient can be controlled with the help of management such as supported feeding, etc. And here the antitoxin and antibodies do not make much of the cure to the or the treat to the patient, and that usually occurs in the infant as early when compared to the other infections. It is said that honey is a major source of the disease because honey is easily contaminated with the Clostridium botulinum. And coming to the lab diagnosis of this disease, you can identify the bacillus from the feces of the patient or from the food. That is, you can go for either for the isolation of the bacillus or the toxin that is present. So for the bacillus, we can go for the gram staining characteristic, that is a microscopic characteristic, and it can be very well isolated or identified by gram staining, that is a gram positive sporulating bacillus indicates the bacillus. Now coming to the isolation of this organism or the toxin, now because these organisms are usually seen in the food that is contaminated as well as in the feces, you can use the food to isolate the organism and inoculate into the experimental animal to identify the toxin that is produce and type the toxin depending upon the anti or the homologous anti-serum. So the food that is collected should be macerated, and the liquid part is inoculated intraperitoneally into the experimental animal, and the animal is usually protected by a control is taken where the animal is protected by a polyvalent anti-serum or the antitoxin. So based upon the appearance of the symptoms, you can identify the toxin that is produced and cause the death of the test animal. And typing, as I told you, can be done with the help of homologous anti-serum. Here the toxin can also be isolated from the patient's blood or in the liver post-mortem. And for the retrospective diagnosis, you can go for the antitoxin isolation. Coming to the control of this disease, scanning and preservation is the best choice to eliminate the sporulating forms of this organism and inactivate the toxins. So they have to be carried out aseptically and at a higher temperature without causing the changes in the food taste and all, eliminating only the organism. And when there is an outbreak of this particular disease, you can go for the prophylactic dose of antitoxin that can be given to the person to prevent the epidemic to take place. And active immunization as such is very helpful in eliminating the infection. Immunization is usually done to the person who are at more risk, mostly to the laboratory worker, where 2 doses of aluminium sulfate adsorbed peroxides are usually given to prevent the spread of the infection or control the infection and treat the infection. And these 2 doses are usually given at intervals of 10 weeks, followed by a booster dose after 1 year. And antitoxin therapy can also be done to prevent the infection, and this is usually done in the form of polyvalent antiserum type A, B and E. And a supportive therapy to the children or the infant should be given to control the spread of the infection in the children and lead to the death of the children. So this is about Clostridium botulinum.